is an instruction on how to set up a French easel and take it apart. Now here's two different style French easels. This is called a half-size French easel, and this is called a full-size French easel. They're both the same, so I'm going to be demonstrated on the half-size French easel. So let's put this away. Okay, so this looks a little complicated, but it isn't really. Now, the way this easel works is this is the front or the top of the easel where you mount the paintings. When you turn it around, this is the bottom or the back of the easel where the legs are stored. So what you want to do is you want to start with the bottom or the back of the easel. What you do is you tilt the top toward the ground, and you start releasing the side legs, and you drop them down, just drop them down. You walk over, okay, and then there's a wing nut that secures this leg into place. So with one finger, you could just tighten it, very easy to tighten, and then each side has little grooves that the leg sits in, and that has to be tight. So just make sure you've got it in the groove. Then you walk over to the other leg and you drop it down. And we do the same thing. One finger, you just want to tighten the wing nut clockwise, and make sure that the leg again is sitting in the little groove in the box. So that's pretty secure. Then you're able to extend the legs, which are also on wing nuts that you tightening clockwise. Walk over here. You can extend it out. As you see, none of this hardware is tight. When you take it apart, you leave the hardware loose. Then what you can do is you can then extend the middle leg. Much easier this way. You don't have to get on your hands and knees. Then you just extend it out. Again, with a wing nut, tightening this, extending out the bottom leg, and there is a little round brass knob that will tighten. Then you take the whole easel and you can right it, putting it on 3 legs. Then what you're going to do is the 2 legs here, you're going to be facing them closest to these 2 legs. You're going to reach over to the very top of the easel. You undo the little hooks or latches or whatever there is, and you just pull the whole thing up. Then with 2 hands, you can tighten the little brass knobs. Then, this bottom part, which should be loose, is where you're going to put your panel or your canvas. So we're going to use a panel today. You can put it here, but it's better if you have these little brass holders to put it here. And you can tighten these if you want. They have little brass knobs to tighten. Now, as you can see, this is a little high, so you're going to be bringing, these are still loose, you're going to be bringing this up and tightening them. And then if you look at the back of the easel, the top part also tightens with a little brass knob and will come down, and it also has a little brass clamp where you can tighten this. Then when you have it, you can raise and lower it depending on how you're painting. You just loosen these 3. And you can raise and lower it depending on what eye level you want on here. You want it more at eye level. If you want it a little straighter, you can just raise it a little straighter. Now, the bottom, the inside part has a little drawer that you pull out all the way. With the half easels, there is a pallet that can be opened up, and you can use this pallet, or you can use actually any sort of pallet. You could use a bigger pallet if you wanted to put it on there. So if you weren't going to be using this, you could just leave it. You need to keep it with you. Just put it in the back. Now with these half-size easels, they're a little wobbly, they're a little unstable. So bungee cords are always the landscape artist's friend. So you can just stabilize the drawer by using a bungee cord. And then it's a little more stable, or a lot more stable. I leave my bungee cords right in here. I don't put my paint in here because it makes it too heavy. Then you can take your pallet, whatever pallet you choose to use, and these little bungee cords, you can stabilize your pallet. Stabilize your pallet here. It's pretty tight, so you want it tight. I use 2, and it goes around the bottom drawer. So then, as you can see, it's pretty stable. Okay, so now, when you're taking apart the easel, it's pretty easy. Just do everything in reverse. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off the pallet first, take off the bungee cords, then you store your bungee cords. You store them right in here so you always know where they are. And you set aside the pallet for the time being. Remove this bungee cord. Store it in the drawer. And you always want to keep your pallet because it keeps, push the drawer all the way in. It keeps these things from falling out. So you can fit it right in here. Very important to keep the drawer all the way back because if you let it stick out, when you ride it, this will fall out. So you want to keep this all the way toward the front. Then same thing with this. Make sure it's straight. Anyway, if you're on uneven ground, you can always adjust the legs to make it level. Okay, so you want to take off, loosen this, and you can take this off, take your painting off, and set it aside. So I like to keep everything loose when I'm putting it away. So then, again, remember this was the last thing we did. So we let that drop down, keep the little knob loose. We loosen this, turning it counterclockwise, and we let this drop down, keeping this loose. Then the little knobs that hold this in an upright position, you loosen these, leaving them loose, and then this drops down. Then you're fastening to keep the box closed, so you're all set on that. It's not going to go anywhere. And you take the handle again, and it's what we did in reverse, is you take the whole thing, nothing's going anywhere on the top, and then you start with the center leg. You know, it's not going anywhere. You let it drop down and you leave it loose. Again, let it drop down. Just leave it loose because it will attach in here by itself. Then, leaning this forward, loosening the extension legs. Now, if sometimes the weight of the easel will tighten the brass wing nuts a little tight. So I always keep a pair of nutcrackers here. It's really good for loosening caps of paint tubes, but you can also use it to case you need to. This just goes in. Then I would do the other one at the same time. And they just go right in, leaving the hardware loose so you don't have a problem when you're going to open it up. Then here, just loosening this wing nut, you bring the wing nut all the way to the end. It will not come off of the screw. You pull, you have to do this to pull it all the way out to have space for it then to click into the side. Again, moving it to the other hand. And you're, again, loosening. You can do it with one finger, very easy. Loosening this, pulling it all the way out, otherwise it won't click into the side. And there you have your easel all compact.